Okay, now we will continue with Siman Shin Pei Zayin. Shutafin b'mavui tzrichin la'arev b'chatzeros. If you made a shituf mevuais, you still need to make an eruv b'chatzeros. This is going to be an interesting a siman. It's going to be interesting to see the mechanics of shituf and the mechanics of eruv b'chatzeros and how they overlap. Do you need both? Are you okay with one? Let's see. Ubay Seif echad. Hamishtatfin b'mavui. If the people of the chatzeros that open up onto a mavui made a shetufei mevuais. So let's get this straight. You have a mavui. The mavui has 4 chatzeros that open onto it. The number 4 was arbitrary. You have 4 chatzeros that open up onto a mavui. They got together and they made a shetufei mevuais. Now, what does the shetufei mevuais do? Again, a member of each chatzer is going to give a food item. They're going to take that food item. They're going to collect one from each one of the chatzeros. They're going to put them together in a keli in one of the chatzeros. Now, instead of us looking at this mavui and saying that this mavui serves 4 disparate chatzeros, now we're going to say that all the chatzeros are one, and the mavui only serves 1 chatzer. So now all the chatzeros have been joined by virtue of this shetufei mevuais, and now it's mutter to transfer a keli shashavas babayis in one of the chatzeros of the mavui from the house to the chatzer into the mavui, and then from the mavui into one of the other chatzeros, and into another house, right? Because you joined all the chatzeros together in a shituf. The Mechaber says, if you made a shetufei mevuais, you still need to make individual iruvei chatzeros in each one of the chatzeros. So don't think that you could skip the step of making an iruvei chatzeros in Chatzer A, and another Eruvei Chatzeros in Chatzer B, and another Eruvei Chatzeros in Chatzer C, and then make a shituf. Don't think you could skip that step. You can't. You can't just forget the Eruvei Chatzeros and make a shetufei mevuais. Hamishtatfin b'mavui tzrichin la'arev b'chatzeros. Why? Kedei shelo yishkachu atinoikos tairas eruv. Because we're afraid that if you do this, the kids don't know that you made an eruv chatzeros. If you're not going to make an eruv chatzeros, so the kids see, hey, we're allowed to take a lawn chair from the house and bring it into the chatzer. Why? Nobody made an eruv chatzeros. And they don't realize that, oh, we didn't make an eruv chatzeros, but we made a shetufei mevuais, and the shetufei mevuais covers us for the eruv chatzeros also. The kids don't know that. All they know is that you didn't make it a eruv chatzeros, and they see you're allowed to transfer. So they're going to think you don't need a eruv chatzeros. So kadei shelo yishkachu atinoikos tairas eruv. And why are the kids not going to know this? Shaharei ein atinoikos makirim ma nasa b'mavui. Because the Mechaber says the kids are not aware of what's being done in the mavui. They're aware of what's being done in their chatzer, but they're not aware of what's going on outside of their chatzer in the larger mavui. They're not in touch with that. They're in touch with what goes on in their chatzer. And they know you didn't make an eruv chatzeros, and they see you're allowed to transfer from the house anyway. So it's going to be forgotten from them, the din of eruv chatzeros. Now, one thing is clear so far from the Mechaber. To this point in the Mechaber, it seems clear that really me'ikar adin, if you make a shetufei mevuais, you don't really need an eruv chatzeros. Really, you could get away with just making a shetufei mevuais. Now, why would that be? I think the answer of why that would be is because what does a shetufei mevuais do? By a shetuf mevuais, what happens is you have chatzer A, chatzer B, chatzer C, chatzer D. Somebody from chatzer A is going to take a food item, and he's going to make that food item a contribution to the shetufei mevuais on behalf of his chatzer. So he's acting on behalf of his chatzer. Now somebody from chatzer B is going to make a contribution on behalf of his chatzer. And now chatzer A, chatzer B, chatzer C, chatzer D, they're all going to join together. Well, if all 4 people that made the contributions on behalf of their chatzer, they're all acting on behalf of their chatzeros, and they're all joining together in the shituf, doesn't that mean that the individuals in their chatzeros are also joined? How did I represent my whole chatzer unless I had the backing of all the residents of my chatzer? So that means we're all one, and I'm acting on behalf of the one of my chatzer. So by making the shituf, I'm really covering ourselves for the eruv also. So therefore, me'ikar adin, once you make a shituf, you don't need an Erev. Only thing is, the Mechaber says, you need the Erev anyway, because if you're not going to make the Erev, it's going to be forgotten, the whole halacha of Eruv Chatzeros, because the kids don't know about it. Okay, let's see the Mishnah Berurah inside. HaMishtatfin b'mavos, cut an aleph. V'loy mayri b'pas. Now, we're not talking about a case over here where the Erev, where the shituf was made with bread. So far, and we'll see why the Mishnah Berurah is saying this, so far we're talking about a case where the shituf was not made with pas. The shituf was made with some other type of foodstuff, not pas. Tzrichin la'arev b'chatzeros. You have to make it a eruv chatzeros anyway. Hainu chatzeros im habotim. What this means is each one of the individual chatzeros of the mavli have to make their own eruv chatzeros to join all of their houses together. Ois cotton gimel. Why do we need this? So that the Torah, the halacha of eruv chatzeros, should not be forgotten. Ritzona loymar. The Medina lo yayu tzrichin la'arev b'chatzeros apsuchos l'mavi klal. Me'ikar adin, you really shouldn't need a eruv chatzeros here anymore. Sharei mu'uravin u'mushutafin kfar memela al yedei shituf shabamavui. Like I explained to you, what the Mechaber is saying over here is really me'ikar adin. Once you make a shetufei mavuos, the shetufei mavuos has the effect of joining all of the houses in the individual chatzeros also. So really the shituf covers you for eruv chatzeros also. But still in all, you have to make, each chatzer has to make an individual eruv chatzeros, so it should not be forgotten. Ois cotton dalid shaharei ein, the kids don't know what's going on in the mavli. The Berurah, they're going to say, aviseinu la'ervu. Our fathers didn't make it eruv chatzeros, and even though our fathers didn't make it eruv chatzeros in our chatzer, we're allowed to transfer a keli sheshavas babayis out to the chatzer. They don't know that the reason is because the shituf was made. They're not in touch with the shituf. So even though the shituf covers you for the Erev as well, still the Mechaber says you have to make an Erev even though you made a shituf. Now let's continue in the Mechaber, the second line down in the middle. Lefikach, therefore, im nishtatfu b'mavoi b'pas. Let's say when you made the shituf, if you remember, the Mishnah Berurah just said that in the first line in the Mechaber, he's talking about a case where the shituf was not made with pas. The shituf was made with a different type of food. Now we know that a shituf could be made out of any food. An erev has to be made out of pas. Oh, so now the Mishnah Berurah says, Lefikach, im nishtatfu b'mavoi b'pas. Let's say the shituf was actually made with pas. Soimchim alav, then you could rely on the shituf instead of the erev. The ein tzrichin la'arev b'chatzeros. Then you do not have to make separate eruv chatzeros. Why? A fascinating reason. Sharei atinoikos makirim bapas. Because kids know what's done with bread. Very interesting. So, what's the Mechaber saying? The Mechaber is saying it depends. If when you made your shituf, you made it out of produce, you made it out of apples, then you have to make an individual eruv chatzeros in each one of the chatzeros. Why? Because the kids don't know that you made an eruv chatzeros. They know you didn't make an eruv chatzeros. They don't know that you made a shituf. So they don't realize that the reason you're allowed to transfer from your house to the chatzer is because of the shituf. They don't know about the shituf. And they know that you didn't make an erev. So they're going to think you're allowed to transfer from the house to the chatzer without an erev. But if the shituf was made with pas, then you don't have this problem. Why? Because if it's made with pas, then the kids know about it. Even though it wasn't done in the chatzer, it was done in the mavoi, still the kids know about it because it was done with pas. Why? Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ois Cotton Vav, Sharei atinoikos makirim bapas. Because the kids are aware of what's done with pas. Mitoich shapas hi chayei ha'adam. Because pas, bread, is the staff of life. Because bread is the thing that keeps people alive, that's the main type of mazon, the main type of sustenance. Lefikach makirim bay. So the kids are in touch with what's done with pas. Keshem ishtatfin bay, they're going to be aware of a shituf that you made with bread. Umayri, but it has to be talking about a case where the pas was placed in one of the houses in one of the chatzeros, and it was a whole bread, not a prusa, v'loy prusa, v'ilavachi loy mahani. So again, what do we have so far over here in the Mechaber? We have over here in the Mechaber so far, really a shituf should take the place of an eruv. But if you made your shituf out of something other than pas, you have to make an eruv anyway. Because the kids don't know about the shituf, they're going to think you don't need an eruv. If you made the shituf with pas, then the shituf covers you for the eruv as well. However, you want the shituf to cover you for the eruv as well. The only way the shituf could cover you for the eruv, we know that an eruv has to be inside a house. When you make an eruv, it has to be in one of the batim of the chutzner. The eruv can't be out in the airspace of the chutzner, because what does the eruv do? The eruv joins all the houses, all the diras together into one dira. It says that all of the 20 families who live in the 20 units in the bungalow colony, they all live in one unit. So the eruv has to go in one of the houses. So when could the shituf take the place of the eruv if you made it with pas? That's only if you put it inside one of the houses. And we know that an eruv has to be a shlema, it can't be a prusa. So you would have to fulfill those requirements if you want the shituf to take the place of the eruv. Says the Mechaber weiter, 3 lines down, there is, however, another opinion that says that if each individual chatzar of the mavoi did not make its own eruv, ein soimchen al hashituf. You cannot rely on the shituf in the place of the eruv. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah is cut in Zion. Ein soimchen al hashituf. This this opinion says that you cannot do this. You can't rely on a shituf instead of an eruv. Sheshituf hamavui einoy moyel elo lechaber kol hachatzeros im hamavui. It doesn't work because the shitufei mevuos, what does it do? The mechanics of a shitufei mevuos are that it makes all the chatzeros one chatzer, and now we say that the mavui is not serving multiple chatzeros. All of the chatzeros are merged into one chatzer, and the mavui is only serving one large chatzer. That's what a shituf does. That's not what an eruv does. How does the shituf serve to join all of the houses of Chatzar A, all 20 units of Chatzar A into one bias? How does the shituf do that? The Yesharim says, I don't see how those mechanics work. The previous opinion of the Mechaber, that the Mechaber brought down, that shita seems to hold, like I told you before, that if I live in Chatzar A, and I'm acting on behalf of all the residents of Chatzar A, and I'm making a contribution to the shituf, so ipso facto, we're all one. How am I representing my whole Chatzar? I'm representing my whole Chatzar because we're all one. And now I'm contributing to the shituf. So the shituf locks in that all of the Chatzeros are automatically joined. All the bottom are automatically joined. This Yesh Omrim says, what are you talking about? The mechanics are totally different. The shituf joins the Chatzeros, it doesn't join the bottom. Okay, says the Mechaber weiter, Avo, kishakol chotzer erev la'atzma, but if each individual chotzer made its own erev, va'achar kach nishtatfu b'mavui, and then they made a shetufei mavuos, v'lo yerevu derech psakim shebeneim, but the individual chatzeros did not make iruvei chatzeros one with the other, even though they have doorways going from chatzer to chatzer. Mutarim leishtamish b'chatzeros shebamavui derech psakim shebeneim. You could transfer from one chatzer to the other through their connecting doorways. Shesoimchem al shituf b'makom erev, because that the shituf will serve to accomplish, and you don't need an erev for that. So what's the Mechaber saying? The Mechaber is saying like this. Let's say you had 4 chatzeros opening up onto a mavui. You have Chatzar A and Chatzar B on this side of the mavui, Chatzar C and Chatzar D on this side of the mavui. Now, to go from Chatzar A to Chatzar B, you don't have to go from the Chatzar through the mavui out into the Chatzar. There's a connecting doorway that goes straight from Chatzar A to Chatzar B. Now normally, let's take the mavui out of the picture for a moment. Normally, if you have 2 adjoining chatzeros, and you want to be able to transfer a keli sheshavas babayis from one of the chatzeros to the other one, the 2 chatzeros have to join in the common erev. Now, Chatzar A and Chatzar B did not join in the common erev. Chatzar A made its own erev. Chatzar B made its own erev. Chatzar C made its own erev. Chatzar D made its own erev. Now Chatzar A, Chatzar B, Chatzar C, and Chatzar D joined together in a Shetufei Mavuos. But Chatzar A never made an Erev with Chatzar B, Chatzar C never made an Erev with Chatzar D. Still in all, if you want to go straight from Chatzar A to Chatzar B, you're allowed to. Even without an Eruv Chatzeros joining Chatzar A and Chatzar B. Why? So this is a davar pashut. By making a Shetufei Mavuos, Chatzar A, Chatzar B, Chatzar C, and Chatzar D all became one Chatzar. So why do they need to make separate Eruv Chatzeros one with the other? That they don't need to do. Let's continue in the Mechaber. Let's say the other way. Let's say you had a mavui that had two chatzeros opening onto it, Chatzar A and Chatzar B. And Chatzar A and Chatzar B also have a doorway that goes straight one from the other. So let's say Chatzar A and Chatzar B joined in a common Erev, but they never made a shituf. So they're still allowed to take a keli shashavas babayis from the house to the chatzar to the mavui, or they could take something from the mavui into the chatzar into the house. Because what does a shituf do? A shituf in this case would just serve to join Chatzar A and Chatzar B, but Chatzar A and Chatzar B already joined with Berurah Chatzeros, so they don't need a shituf. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ice Cotton Ches. The Mechaber had said, if each individual chatzar made its own erev, and then they made a shetufei mavuos, but the chatzeros also have doors that open up one onto the other, and they didn't make a reuven with each other, they don't have to, because the shituf already joined them. What does this mean? It's mutter lahaitzi mechatzer lechatzer. You could transfer from one chatzar to another chatzar, kalim sheshavsu babayis, launches that started out Shabbos in the house. The reason is the davar pashut. The kishem shashitaf mechaber lechol chatzeros sheyeh mutter l'taltal mehen lamavui. Since the shitufei mavuos already joins all the chatzeros to be one, and by virtue of that, you're allowed to transfer into the mavui and back. So if the shituf already joined the chatzeros to be one, now they don't individually have to make common eruv chatzeros one with the other. They're already linked by virtue of the shitufei mavuos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, a nice cotton test. Nope, that's in the Ramah. Let's see the Ramah now. Excuse me. Hagah, says the Ramah. V'yesh oimrim desaimchem hashituf b'makom erev afilu loy nishtatfu ela b'yayin. There is also an opinion that says that you could rely on a shituf when you didn't make an erev, even if the shituf was not made with pas, even if you only made it with yayin. We said before, if you want to rely on a shituf b'makom erev, then the shituf had to be made with pas. Over here we're saying no. The Ramah says there's a shita that says even if it's made not with pas, you still could rely on the shituf. And you could also rely on the erev instead of the shituf. This is like the halacha that the Mechaber just said, that if Chatzar A and Chatzar B made a common eruv chatzeros, and they're the only two chatzeros that open up onto the mavui, you don't need a shituf. Why do you need a shituf to link Chatzar A and Chatzar B? Chatzar A and Chatzar B already linked themselves with an erev. The Ramah says, I already told you earlier in Shin Samach Vav Sif Zayin, that we are noyig even lechatchila, shaloi lasos rak shituf echad bekemach. We don't make individual eruv chatzeros, we make one big shetufei mavuos out of kemach, out of flour. Venerally, Atam and the Ramah says, it seems to me the reason is ki erev shalanu, because our eruvin shekal echad b'mnei chatzar nois and l'shituf, the way we make a shetufei mavuos, says the Ramah, in his time was every individual in the chatzar gave a contribution to the shituf. So you have chatzar A, chatzar B, chatzar C, and chatzar D. They want to make a shetufei mavuos. The way they did it was not one representative of chatzar A made a contribution on behalf of his chatzar to the shituf. No, each one of the 20 units of chatzar A, they all made an individual contribution to the shituf. So in that case, when you make the shituf, you actually are making an erev. all 20 units of Chatzar A made a contribution to the shituf. So they're not only joining themselves together with all the other Chatzeros, they also joined themselves together because they're all contributing to one big shituf. This concept that we would need both a shitav and an eruv, hainu b'zman Gemara, that's only noyig in the time of the Gemara, shebnei hachatzer lo naftal l'shitav, where each individual in the chatzeres did not all contribute to the shitav. Rak hachatzer eruv b'yachad, ve'echad b'mnei hachatzer naftal l'shitav. That was the case when only one person in each chatzer is contributing to the shitav. But the way we do it, you definitely only need to make a shituf v'yavid yoser or berechalav. If you would make the shituf and then an eruv and make a bracha on the eruv, have a bracha of atala, it would actually be a bracha of atala. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut and test. Afilu the afa gav de eruv chatzeres loimahani ba'al makiyim bepas. The Ramah said we have a shita that holds that you could rely on a shituf and you do not need an individual eruv in the individual chatzeros, even if you make the shituf not with bread, even if you make with yayin. Even though normally for neruva chatzeros you need bread, hacha over here where you're making a shituf, migoy de mahani l'inyan shituf, since the contribution is effective to make a shituf, the mahani afilu b'sharoklin, because shituf you can make with other foodstuffs, mahani nami l'inyan neruva chatzeros, it works for neruva chatzeros as well. This halacha that we could rely on an eruv, if two chatzeres join themselves in a common eruv, now they don't also have to make a shituf. The Ramah didn't have to say this. He's just repeating himself because he's going through the whole topic. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cutting it off. The Ramah said, "V'nirali atam." He says, "It seems to me the reason why we're noyig to only make a shituf and not an eruv. Avagab diyesh larma the tama minikum mishum de mikam achayif and pas ubepasa lekarmelo the shituf moil b'makam eruv." Even though the Chavetz Chaim says, why is the Ramah struggling to figure out why we're noyig this way? Why not? We're using kemach. Kemach is pas. So why can't the shituf work as an eruv as well? Yesh lerma the rotzel yashav aminig afli yesharmim shebedivri amachaber tehecha shalei eruv kol chatzal atzmal kol yalma ein tzavchen al shitav v'makam eruv v'anan hagina de enoisin rak shitav levad. What the Chavetz Chaim is saying is, what the Ramah is coming to explain is not the pas problem. What he's coming to explain is, why are we noyig that we rely on a shituf to make one big shetufei mevuos, even though the individual chatzeros did not make their own eruv chatzeros. And the Ramah said the reason is because when we make a shituf, every individual that lives in each chatzer contributes to the shituf. So the eruv makes the shituf makes an eruv as well. Hainu mizman Gemara shebnei chatzer is cutting it base. Hiksha Lavush. Lavush asks on this. Mi yomer shemizman Gemara lo nastu kabnei chatzer l'shituf rachekad b'mnei chatzer. Who said that at the time of the Gemara this is the way they did it? V'hoid lu yehi she'echad b'mnei chatzer nasu l'shituf. So what? So only one representative of the Chatzar contributed to the Shituf. Mabekach. Harehum is Akei Lukulam. He's acting on behalf of everybody. Ve'viki'ilu Kulam Nasnu. So it should be as if they all contributed. Ayin Shav. The Chavetz Chaim says, Ha'ikar sha'olam samchin al de'ar rishayna. The ikar reason why we make only one shituf and we don't make an eruv is because we rely on the first opinion on the mechaber sha'afilu le'eruv kol chatzar la'atzma, that even though each individual chatzar did not make its own eruv chatzeros im nishtatfu b'pas, if one member of the chatzar makes a contribution to a shituf and they make the shituf with pas, samchin alav, we rely on that, and that covers us for the eruv also. Vein sarach la'aruv b'chatzeros klal, and you don't need eruv chatzeros. However, the Chavetz Chaim does say the yoser toiv, it would be better the yoser toiv loymar beferish, that it should be stated explicitly b'shas hanachas ha'eruv. And over here the Chazon Ish says that the words of this Mishnah Berurah are not meduyik, that there's a mistake crept in over here into the words of the Mishnah Berurah. What the Mishnah Berurah means to say is, it would be better that when the shituf is made, v'shas hanachas ha'shituf, shamanichu gam l'shem shituf, that we're making the shituf for an eruv as well. So at the end of the day, what we're saying over here is that we rely on a shituf b'makam eruv. Again, so you have a mavui, it has 4 chatzeros opening onto it, each chatzer has 20 units in it. The individual chatzeros, the 20 units in each chatzer, do not have to get together to make it a Eruv chatzeros, and then each chatzer will contribute to a shituf to join all the chatzeros. No. Each chatzer could make a contribution to a shituf, and that shituf will cover the Erev as well. Because by joining together and making a contribution to the larger shituf, that serves the purpose of joining all 20 units of the chatzar together as one. They're joining together as one and making a contribution to the shituf of the mavui. And then in chatzar B, the whole chatzar B is making a contribution to the shituf. So that contribution serves to join them. So they don't need it in Eruv chatzeros. And we rely on the shituf b'makayim erev. Thank you so much for joining me. Mi'ez Hashem. Next time we get together, we'll continue with Reish Nun Zayin Amud Beis, Siman Shin Pei Ches, and we'll see how far we can get. Thanks. Be well.